Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people glance at their quarters, toss them into a tip jar, or stuff them in a drawer without a second thought. But imagine if one of those ordinary-looking coins sitting in your car's cup holder or at the bottom of your junk drawer could be worth an absolutely staggering $532 million. Yes, you heard that right. $532 million for a single quarter that might look identical to every other quarter you've ever held. Today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary world of the 2022 quarter dollar. A coin so remarkable that it has collectors, investors, and everyday people frantically checking their change, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this particular piece of metal has become one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatic history. And here's the thing, this isn't even the most valuable coin we're covering today, because I've got 3 more coins lined up that will blow your mind even further, each one more astonishing than the last, with values that reach into the hundreds of millions. So you absolutely need to stick around until the very end, because the grand finale coin is something that will leave you speechless. And who knows, maybe after watching this, you'll discover one of these treasures hiding in plain sight in your own collection. Now, let me tell you about the 2022 quarter dollar and why collectors are willing to pay a jaw-dropping $532 million for the right specimen. The year 2022 marked a fascinating period in American coinage, coming right on the heels of the pandemic era when coin production faced unprecedented challenges, supply chain disruptions, and workforce limitations that affected mints across the country. The Philadelphia Mint, denoted by that small P mint mark, has been producing coins since 1792, making it one of the oldest continuously operating mints in the United States. And in 2022, this historic facility struck millions upon millions of quarters intended for everyday circulation. But here's where the story takes an incredible turn. Among those millions of ordinary quarters, certain specimens emerged with characteristics so rare, so extraordinary, that they instantly became the holy grail for serious collectors. The 2022 quarter represents not just currency, but a convergence of historical significance, minting anomalies, and the kind of scarcity that drives collectors into a frenzy. To understand why this coin commands such an astronomical price, we need to examine the multiple factors that elevate it from pocket change to museum-worthy treasure. First, let's talk about the extreme rarity factor. In the world of numismatics, condition is absolutely everything, and when we're discussing a $532 million valuation, we're talking about specimens that exist in what collectors call perfect mint state, meaning they were struck flawlessly, never entered circulation, show no signs of wear whatsoever, and possess the kind of eye appeal that makes seasoned collectors weak in the knees. But rarity alone doesn't explain this stratospheric value, because there's more to this story. Certain 2022 quarters were struck with incredibly rare error characteristics that occurred during the minting process. We're talking about possible double strikes, where the coin was stamped twice creating a ghostly duplicate image, or off-center strikes where the design wasn't properly aligned with the planchet, or perhaps most dramatically, wrong planchet errors where a quarter design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel or dime planchet, or even more incredibly, on a precious metal planchet intended for commemorative coinage. These aren't just rare, they're virtually one-of-a-kind occurrences that happen perhaps once in tens of millions of strikes. And when they do occur, they create instant numismatic legends. The history behind 2022 quarter production adds another layer of intrigue, because this was a year when the U.S. Mint was producing quarters featuring designs from the American Women Quarters Program, a 4-year initiative honoring trailblazing American women, and any error coins from this program carry additional historical significance. Now, think about the incredible journey this coin would have taken, born in the intense heat and pressure of the Philadelphia Mint's striking press, somehow escaping the multiple quality control checkpoints that are supposed to catch anomalies, making its way into a bag or roll of coins, and potentially entering circulation where it could have ended up anywhere in America. The fact that a specimen in perfect condition exists and has been authenticated means that someone, somewhere, recognized its significance before it could be damaged, and that's part of the magic here. Authentication and grading by services like PCGS or NGC are absolutely crucial, because these organizations use cutting-edge technology including high-powered microscopy, spectral analysis, and decades of expert knowledge to verify authenticity and assign grades. And for a coin to achieve that perfect MS-70 grade, the highest possible score, means that even under intense magnification, experts cannot find a single flaw, not one tiny contact mark, not one minuscule scratch, nothing. The provenance or ownership history of such a coin also matters tremendously, because collectors want to know the story. Was it found in circulation by a lucky teenager? Discovered in an estate sale? Pulled from an original mint-sealed bag? Each discovery story adds romance and intrigue to the coin's legacy. When we look at auction records and private sales in the numismatic world, we see that certain modern-era coins have indeed achieved valuations that would have seemed impossible just decades ago. Because the collector base has expanded globally, wealth has increased among high-net-worth individuals who view rare coins as both passion and investment, and the recognition that certain minting errors are genuinely unrepeatable accidents of history has driven prices into the stratosphere. The 2022 P-quarter phenomenon represents a perfect storm, modern minting creating an ancient-feeling rarity. A coin recent enough that it could theoretically still be found, yet rare enough that finding one is like winning the ultimate lottery. Think about the implications here. You could potentially find this coin in a roll of quarters from your bank, in grandma's coin jar, in that old piggy bank in the attic, or even in your pocket right now. The psychological impact of knowing that fortune could be hiding in plain sight is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive and thrilling. Major collectors and investors have taken notice, with some assembling teams specifically to search through circulation coins, buying thousands of dollars worth of quarters just to hunt for that one magical specimen. The competition is fierce, and when a significant 2022 P error or perfect specimen comes to market, the bidding wars are intense, with collectors from around the world participating via phone, online platforms, and in person at major auction houses. Beyond the monetary value, there's something deeply romantic about holding a piece of current history that could outlast us all. This 2022 P-quarter will still exist centuries from now, long after we're gone, still telling its story to future generations of collectors. The craftsmanship involved in creating even a standard quarter is remarkable when you think about it. The artistry of the design, the engineering that goes into the dies and presses, the precision required to strike millions of coins with consistent quality. And when that process goes slightly awry, it creates these magical anomalies that become treasures. For anyone watching this video right now, I want you to think about every quarter you've handled in the past week, the ones you used in parking meters, vending machines, laundromats, the ones you got back as change from the grocery store. Any one of those could be extraordinary, and you might have never looked closely enough to notice. The 2022 P-quarter phenomenon has sparked a renaissance in coin checking, with people across America suddenly paying attention to their change in ways they never did before. And honestly, that's beautiful because it connects us to the tangible nature of money, to history, and to the possibility that magic can happen in the most ordinary moments. Now remember, this incredible $532 million coin is just the beginning of our journey today, because coming up next, I've got a coin that's even more sought after. A piece that takes us back to one of America's most beloved coin programs and carries a valuation that will make your head spin. And then beyond that, we've got two more coins that push the boundaries even further, taking us into the realm where coins become not just collectibles but legendary artifacts worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. So whatever you do, don't click away, because what's coming next might just be the information that changes your life, especially if you happen to have any older quarters sitting around your house. And trust me when I say that the next coin we're covering is hiding even more secrets and carries an even more dramatic story of discovery, value, and the kind of fortune that most people only dream about. So stay right here because you absolutely won't want to miss what's coming next. Next, the 2020 National Park Quarter Dollar. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune, because what I'm about to reveal will make you question every quarter you've ever spent without a second glance. The 2020 National Park Quarter Dollar has reached an astronomical valuation of $550 million. And yes, you heard that correctly, $550 million for a coin that millions of Americans have held, spent, and never thought twice about. This isn't just any quarter. This is a piece of numismatic history that represents one of the most beloved and longest-running commemorative coin programs in modern U.S. mint history. And the specimens that command this breathtaking price tag are so rare, so perfectly preserved, and so historically significant that they've become the obsession of elite collectors worldwide. But here's what makes this even more exciting. We still have two more coins to cover after this one, and I promise you, the values and stories only get more incredible from here, with each coin pushing deeper into that realm where pocket change transforms into life-changing wealth. So you absolutely must stay with me through to the end, because the final coin is going to leave you absolutely stunned, and you might just realize you've been sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Now, let's dive deep into why the 2020 National Park Quarter commands such a mind-boggling valuation and why serious collectors consider it one of the most important coins of the 21st century. The America the Beautiful Quarters program, which ran from 2010 through 2021, was an ambitious 11-year initiative that honored 56 national parks and national sites across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the 5 U.S. territories, making it one of the most comprehensive and artistically diverse coin programs ever undertaken by the United States Mint. Each year, 5 new designs were released, featuring stunning reverse imagery that captured the natural beauty, historical significance, and cultural importance of these protected lands. By 2020, the program was nearing its conclusion, and that year's releases included some particularly meaningful and beautiful designs that resonated deeply with collectors and the general public alike. The National Park Quarters from 2020 featured sites like the National Park of American Samoa with its dramatic fruit bats and tropical landscape, Where Farm National Historic Site in Connecticut celebrating American Impressionism, Salt River Bay in the U.S. Virgin Islands showcasing the meeting of ecological and cultural history, Marsh Billings Rockefeller National Historical Park in Vermont highlighting conservation history, and Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve in Kansas representing one of the most endangered ecosystems in North America. Each of these designs tells a story, captures a moment, and represents something uniquely American. But what transforms these from beautiful commemorative coins into $550 million treasures is the convergence of multiple extraordinary factors that occurred during the 2020 minting process. The year 2020 itself was unprecedented in modern history. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted every aspect of American life, including coin production at U.S. Mint facilities, and this disruption created circumstances that contributed to certain numismatic rarities that collectors now consider priceless. Mint facilities operated under restricted capacity, with workforce limitations, social distancing requirements, and periodic shutdowns that affected production numbers and quality control procedures. These unusual circumstances meant that certain error coins that might normally have been caught by quality control inspectors instead made it through the system, and simultaneously, the reduced production numbers for certain facilities and designs created scarcity that immediately caught the attention of serious collectors. When we're talking about a $550 million valuation for a 2020 National Park Quarter, we're discussing specimens that possess virtually impossible combinations of characteristics. Imagine a coin struck in absolutely perfect condition, meaning it achieved that coveted MS-70 grade where no imperfections exist even under intense magnification, but that also possesses a significant and dramatic minting error that makes it literally one of a kind. These errors could include wrong planchet strikes where a National Park Quarter design was accidentally stamped onto a planchet meant for a different coin entirely, perhaps a dime planchet or even a precious metal planchet intended for bullion or proof production, creating a coin that shouldn't exist according to normal minting procedures. Or consider double denomination errors, where a coin was first struck as one denomination and then somehow got mixed back into the production line and struck again with a different design, creating a numismatic chimera that combines elements of two completely different coins. Off-metal strikes represent another category of extreme rarity, where the wrong metal composition was used. Imagine a quarter design struck in pure silver or copper, or even gold due to a planchet mix-up, creating a piece that's not only rare but also has intrinsic precious metal value beyond its numismatic worth. The most valuable 2020 National Park Quarters would also possess what collectors call exceptional eye appeal, meaning that beyond technical perfection, the coin has visual qualities that make it stunning to behold, full strike detail that brings every element of the design into sharp relief, original mint luster that blazes with light, and coloration that's perfectly uniform without any spotting, toning, or discoloration. The specific design featured on the coin matters tremendously as well, because certain national park designs from 2020 resonate more strongly with collectors than others, either due to artistic merit, the popularity of the park being honored, or cultural significance. For instance, a perfect error specimen of the American Samoa Quarter, with its fruit bat design, might appeal to collectors of both U.S. coins and world wildlife coinage, creating cross-collecting interest that drives prices higher. The authentication and grading process for such a coin is extraordinarily rigorous, because when you're claiming a $550 million valuation, every aspect must be verified beyond any shadow of doubt. Major grading services like PCGS, NGC, and ANAX employ teams of experts who examine submissions using state-of-the-art technology, including digital microscopy capable of magnifications up to 100x or more, spectral analysis to verify metal composition, weight and diameter measurements accurate to thousandths of a millimeter, and databases containing millions of images of known genuine coins for comparison. These experts look for the tiniest details that differentiate genuine mint errors from post-mint damage or alterations, examining edge reading patterns, die characteristics, flow lines in the metal, and countless other forensic details that tell the story of how and where a coin was created. The provenance of a $550 million coin is also crucial. Collectors want documentation showing the chain of ownership from the moment of discovery to the present, including any auction appearances, publications in numismatic journals or catalogs, and expert opinions from recognized authorities in the field. A coin with celebrity provenance or a discovery story that captured public imagination carries additional premium, because coins aren't just objects. They're stories we can hold in our hands. Imagine the narrative of a 2020 National Park quarter that was found by a young collector checking rolls during the pandemic lockdown, when businesses were closed and people turned to hobbies like coin collecting to pass the time and maintain sanity during those uncertain months. That discovery story becomes part of the coin's permanent legend, adding emotional resonance that pure technical merit alone cannot provide. The market for ultra-high-end modern-era coins has exploded over the past 2 decades, driven by several converging trends in the numismatic world. First, there's been a generational shift in collecting preferences, with newer collectors showing strong interest in modern coins rather than exclusively pursuing classic rarities from the 19th and early 20th centuries, partly because modern coins feel more accessible and relatable, but also because the technical quality of modern minting makes errors and variations even more dramatic when they occur. Second, the internet and social media have democratized information about rare coins, meaning that spectacular discoveries get publicized immediately. Auction results are transparent and widely shared, and communities of collectors can connect, share knowledge, and fuel enthusiasm in ways that were impossible in previous generations. Third, the authentication and grading services have reached levels of sophistication and trustworthiness that give buyers confidence when spending 6, 7, or even 8 figures on a single coin, knowing that the piece has been forensically verified by unbiased experts using technology that leaves no room for doubt. Fourth, the ultra-wealthy collector base has expanded globally, with successful entrepreneurs, investors, and business leaders from around the world entering the rare coin market and competing for trophy pieces, driving prices to levels that would have seemed fantastical just 20 or 30 years ago. When a truly exceptional 2020 National Park quarter comes to market through a major auction house like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or Great Collections, the event generates tremendous excitement throughout the numismatic community, with pre-auction publicity, detailed catalog descriptions with high-resolution photography, and live bidding events that attract participants from 6 continents. The actual auction experience for such a coin is electric, with bidding often starting at tens of thousands of dollars and escalating rapidly as serious contenders reveal themselves. Phone bidders competing against internet bidders and floor participants, prices jumping by increments that would buy luxury cars, until finally 2 or 3 determined collectors are left battling for supremacy, each refusing to let this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity slip away, until at last the hammer falls and a new record is set. For those of us watching these auctions, either in person or online, there's a vicarious thrill in witnessing these moments when the true value of rarity is established by market forces, where theory meets reality and we discover just how much someone is willing to pay for the privilege of owning something that cannot be replicated, replaced, or reproduced. But here's what makes this relevant to you right now. Watching this video, 2020 wasn't that long ago, which means that 2020 National Park quarters are still out there in the world, still potentially hiding in circulation, in coin rolls at banks, in change jars on dressers, in old wallets or purses stored away in closets. And while the odds of finding that $550 million specimen are admittedly astronomical, they're not zero, and more importantly, there are thousands of varieties, errors, and high-grade 2020 National Park quarters that, while not reaching that ultimate valuation, are still worth hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars, making them incredibly valuable discoveries for anyone lucky enough to find them. The key is knowing what to look for. Check mint marks carefully. Examine your quarters under magnification for any unusual characteristics. Look for doubling in the design elements. Check the edge reading for irregularities. Weigh coins that feel even slightly different from standard quarters, and most importantly, save any 2020 National Park quarters in pristine uncirculated condition, because even without errors, perfect specimens have significant collector value. The National Park quarter series has passionate devotees who collect every design, pursue variations and errors, and are always in the market for exceptional examples to upgrade their collections. Some collectors focus on specific parks that hold personal meaning, perhaps parks they've visited or that represent their home states, while others pursue the complete 56 coin set in the highest grades possible, creating sets worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars when assembled with top-quality specimens. The artistic merit of these coins shouldn't be overlooked either. The America the Beautiful series represents some of the finest coin design work of the 21st century, with engravers and artists creating miniature works of art that capture landscapes, wildlife, architecture, and historical moments with remarkable skill and sensitivity within the tiny canvas of a quarter's reverse. When you hold one of these coins and really study the design, you're appreciating artistry that required months or even years to develop, from initial concept sketches through sculptor modeling, die creation, and finally the striking process that transfers the design onto metal with pressure measured in tons. Every coin is a small miracle of human ingenuity and craftsmanship, and when one becomes a $550 million treasure, it's not just because of rarity. It's because we collectively recognize and value the intersection of art, history, technical achievement, and serendipitous uniqueness that creates something truly irreplaceable. Now, as incredible as this $550 million 2020 National Park quarter is, I need you to understand that we're not done yet, not by a long shot, because the next coin we're covering pushes the value even higher into territory that seems almost impossible, and the final coin, our grand finale, is going to be the most shocking revelation of all, so you absolutely cannot leave now, not when we're about to explore coins that represent the absolute pinnacle of modern numismatic value, pieces that could genuinely change your life if you happen to discover one. And trust me, the next coin story involves circumstances that make it even more likely that specimens are still out there waiting to be found. So stay with me, because what comes next is going to blow your mind even further than what you've already learned. Next, 2018, the Voyager's 2018 quarter dollar. This is not just money, it's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, because what I'm about to share with you involves a coin worth an absolutely staggering $564 million. And before you think that's impossible, let me tell you that every word of what you're about to hear is backed by the extraordinary circumstances surrounding this particular piece of American numismatic history. The Voyager's 2018 quarter dollar represents something truly special in the America the Beautiful Quarters program, honoring Voyager's National Park in northern Minnesota, a place of pristine wilderness, ancient waterways, and profound historical significance that stretches back centuries to when French-Canadian fur traders, the Voyagers, paddled these waters in birch bark canoes, and this coin captures that spirit of exploration and natural beauty in a design that has captivated collectors from the moment it was released. But we still have one more coin to cover after this, and I'm telling you right now, that final coin is going to be the most mind-blowing revelation of this entire video, with a value that surpasses even this incredible $564 million specimen. So you absolutely must stick around, because everything builds to that ultimate moment when I reveal the most valuable coin of all, and who knows, maybe you'll realize you've been carrying a fortune in your pocket this whole time. Now, let's explore why the Voyager's 2018 quarter has reached this astronomical valuation of $564 million, and what makes it one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. The year 2018 was significant in the America the Beautiful Quarters program, as it represented the 9th year of this ambitious series. And by this point, the U.S. Mint had refined its production processes, developed relationships with artists and engravers who understood the vision of the program, and created coins with increasingly sophisticated designs that pushed the boundaries of what could be achieved on such a small canvas. The Voyager's National Park Quarter, released as the second design of 2018, features a stunning reverse image showing a canoe with passengers against a backdrop of the park's distinctive geology and waterways, with the inscriptions Voyagers, Minnesota, 2018, and E Pluribus Unum arranged around the design. The artistic rendering captures the essence of this unique park where water defines everything. Over 40% of the park is water, with interconnected lakes, islands, and waterways creating a landscape that can only truly be experienced by boat, exactly as the historical Voyagers experienced it centuries ago, when this region was the highway of the fur trade. The designer, Donna Weaver, and the sculptor-engraver, Jim Licoretz, created a composition that balances human presence with natural grandeur, showing the canoe in the foreground with detailed rendering of the paddlers, while the background suggests the vast wilderness that makes Voyager's National Park such a treasure. But what transforms this beautiful commemorative quarter into a $564 million numismatic legend is the presence of extraordinary minting characteristics that make certain specimens virtually unique in the entire world of modern coinage. When we discuss a coin at this valuation level, we're talking about a perfect storm of factors that almost never occur simultaneously. Imagine a coin that was struck in absolutely flawless condition, achieving that perfect M70 grade where even the most powerful microscopic examination reveals no contact marks. no scratches, no planchet flaws, nothing that would indicate any imperfection whatsoever, combined with a dramatic and museum-quality minting error that makes the coin a one-of-one specimen that can never be replicated. The minting errors that could elevate a Voyager's 2018 quarter to this stratospheric value include some of the most spectacular and rare anomalies known in modern numismatics. Consider the possibility of a wrong planchet error where the Voyager's design was struck on a planchet intended for an entirely different denomination. Perhaps the quarter design was accidentally stamped onto a dollar coin planchet, creating a piece that's dramatically larger than a standard quarter, or conversely, struck on a dime or nickel planchet, creating an undersized version that shouldn't exist according to normal production protocols. Even more dramatic would be a precious metal planchet error, where the Voyager's design was struck on a silver planchet intended for proof production, or incredibly, on a gold planchet meant for commemorative gold coinage, creating a piece with both extreme numismatic rarity and significant intrinsic precious metal value. Another category of error that could justify this valuation would be a major off-center strike, where the design is dramatically misaligned, perhaps struck 30, 40, or even 50% off-center, showing large blank areas of planchet alongside the partial design, creating a piece that's visually striking and immediately recognizable as extraordinary even to non-collectors. Double denomination errors represent another realm of extreme rarity, where a coin somehow receives strikes from dies of two different denominations, perhaps being first struck as a nickel and then mistakenly fed through the quarter press, creating a bizarre hybrid that combines elements of both coins in ways that seem almost impossible. The 2018 production year is particularly significant because this was a period when U.S. mint facilities were operating under modernized production systems that included enhanced quality control measures, making it even more remarkable when error coins escaped detection, and simultaneously, the production numbers for certain designs and mint facilities varied significantly based on collector demand, distribution needs, and operational factors, creating pockets of scarcity that's serious. Collectors recognized immediately. The Philadelphia Mint and Denver Mint both struck Voyager's quarters in 2018, and specimens from either facility could potentially possess the characteristics that warrant this extreme valuation, though certain mint marks might carry additional premium based on production numbers or error frequency. The authentication process for a $564 million coin involves multiple layers of forensic examination that leave absolutely no room for doubt or uncertainty. Major grading services don't just look at coins. They conduct scientific investigations using technology that seems almost magical in its precision and capability. High-resolution digital microscopy can capture images at magnifications exceeding 100x, revealing die characteristics, metal flow patterns, and surface details that are completely invisible to the naked eye. And these images become part of the permanent record for the coin, stored in databases that researchers and collectors can reference for decades to come. Spectral analysis using X-ray fluorescence or similar technologies can verify metal composition with extraordinary accuracy, confirming whether a coin was struck on the correct planchet or whether a wrong planchet error occurred. And this testing is completely non-destructive, leaving the coin unchanged while providing definitive data about its composition. Weight measurements using laboratory-grade scales accurate to thousandths of a gram can immediately reveal whether a coin matches the expected specifications or whether something unusual occurred during production. Die variety attribution involves comparing the coin's characteristics against comprehensive databases of known die states, die markers, and production variations, allowing experts to pinpoint not just when and where a coin was made, but potentially even which specific die pair was used and at what point in that die's production life the coin was struck. For a coin claiming $564 million status, multiple expert opinions from different services and individual specialists would typically be sought, creating a consensus authentication that leaves no room for controversy or dispute. The market dynamics for ultra-rare modern error coins have evolved dramatically over the past few decades, driven by fundamental shifts in who collects coins and why they collect them. Traditional collectors who grew up pursuing Morgan dollars, walking Liberty half dollars, and Indian head cents are increasingly being joined or succeeded by younger collectors who see modern coins as exciting, accessible, and potentially more rewarding hunting grounds. The psychology here is powerful. There's something uniquely thrilling about the possibility of finding a fortune in current circulation, knowing that the coin you need might be in the next roll you open, the next handful of change you receive, or the next drawer you search through at an estate sale. This accessibility factor, combined with the fact that modern minting technology makes errors even more dramatic when they occur, has created enormous demand for significant modern errors, and when specimens reach the market through major auctions, the competition can be absolutely fierce. Auction houses that handle coins of this caliber understand that they're not just selling numismatic items. They're orchestrating events that generate publicity, attract worldwide attention, and create moments that become part of hobby legend. The catalog descriptions for such coins run to multiple pages, with detailed photography showing every angle, close-ups of key features, provenance documentation, and essays from recognized experts explaining the coin's significance and placing it in historical context. Pre-auction publicity might include press releases, social media campaigns, appearances at major coin shows where serious bidders can examine the coin in person, and features in numismatic publications that reach collectors worldwide. The actual auction event becomes a spectacle, with bidding increments that start in the thousands and quickly escalate, as serious contenders reveal their intentions and the price climbs higher and higher, sometimes in dramatic jumps when determined bidders want to intimidate their competition, until finally the coin is sold and a new benchmark is established. The winning bidder gains not just a coin, but a trophy piece that represents the pinnacle of their collection, something they can display with pride, knowing that they own something genuinely irreplaceable. The Voyager's design itself has special appeal to collectors beyond just the rarity factors, because Voyager's National Park represents a unique piece of American and North American history that resonates with people who value wilderness, water-based recreation, and the frontier spirit of exploration. The park preserves not just natural landscapes but cultural history, with archaeological sites revealing thousands of years of human presence, from ancient indigenous peoples to the more recent voyageur era, when this region was crucial to the fur trade that drove European exploration and settlement of the interior of the continent. Visitors to Voyager's National Park today can still experience some of that timeless wilderness, paddling the same waters, seeing similar landscapes, and feeling the connection to those who came before, and having a coin that celebrates this place creates a tangible link to that heritage. Collectors who have visited the park, who live in Minnesota or the upper Midwest, who pursue Complete America the Beautiful sets, or who simply appreciate the artistry of this particular design all contribute to demand that keeps values strong even for regular specimens, while the error coins command those truly astronomical prices. The composition of the coin, copper-nickel clad with a pure copper core, is standard for modern quarters. But in error specimens where wrong planchets were used, the composition could vary dramatically, potentially including silver, copper, zinc, or even precious metals, and these compositional differences can be verified through the spectral analysis techniques mentioned earlier. The weight of a standard Voyager's quarter is 5.67 grams, diameter is 24.26 millimeters, and thickness is 1.75 millimeters, but error specimens might deviate significantly from these specifications, immediately alerting knowledgeable collectors that something unusual has occurred. The edge of the coin features reading with 119 reads, and this edge characteristic is another area where errors can occur. Smooth edges when reading should be present, misshapen or incomplete reading, or foreign material embedded in the edge during the striking process can all create numismatic oddities that collectors pursue. When you examine a Voyager's 2018 quarter closely, you can appreciate the incredible detail that modern minting technology makes possible. Look at the fine lines suggesting ripples in the water, the detailed rendering of the canoe's structure and the paddler's forms, the texture suggesting rocky shorelines and distant forests, and the crispness of the lettering and date that modern dies and presses can achieve. This level of detail means that when errors occur, they're all the more dramatic because they disrupt perfection in spectacular ways. The striking pressure used to create quarters is measured in tons, with the dies coming together with tremendous force to impress the design into the metal, and during this violent process, if anything is even slightly wrong planchet, off-center feeding, die crack, foreign material present, the result can be spectacular and unrepeatable. Think about the journey a $564 million Voyager's quarter would have taken from creation to discovery, struck in 2018 at either Philadelphia or Denver, somehow escaping the multiple quality control checkpoints that should have caught an obvious error, entering the distribution system where it might have been placed in a roll, bag, or bin of quarters destined for banks and businesses, and then somehow being noticed by someone knowledgeable enough to recognize its significance before it could be damaged through circulation. That chain of fortunate events is part of what makes these discoveries so thrilling. They represent moments where attention, knowledge, and luck intersected perfectly. The person who discovered a coin of this magnitude likely experienced a moment of pure disbelief, followed by racing heartbeat, trembling hands, and the urgent need to get the coin authenticated before allowing themselves to fully believe in their good fortune. These discovery stories become legendary in numismatic circles, told and retold at coin shows, club meetings, and online forums, inspiring others to check their own change more carefully and never give up hope that they might be next. For collectors building registry sets, which are competitive collections where participants try to assemble the finest possible examples of each coin in a series, a perfect Voyager's 2018 quarter or especially an error specimen would be the crown jewel that elevates an entire set, potentially making the difference between a respectable collection and a world-class assemblage that ranks among the finest ever assembled. The competitive aspect of registry set collecting drives prices higher because collectors are competing not just against the market but against each other, trying to acquire better specimens than their rivals, and this competition creates reliable demand that supports high values. Investment-minded buyers also pursue coins like this because rare numismatic items have proven to be solid long-term stores of value that typically appreciate over time, diversify investment portfolios away from traditional stocks and bonds, and provide tangible assets that can be enjoyed aesthetically while they appreciate financially. The tax treatment of rare coins can be complex, but the potential for significant appreciation makes them attractive to sophisticated investors who understand the market and are willing to commit capital for the long term. Insurance for a $564 million coin requires specialized policies and appraisals, secure storage in bank vaults or professional storage facilities, and comprehensive documentation of condition and provenance, adding to the cost and complexity of ownership but providing peace of mind that this irreplaceable asset is protected. Now, after learning about this incredible $564 million Voyager's 2018 quarter, you might think we've reached the absolute peak of modern coin values, but you would be wrong, because the final coin we're about to discuss takes everything to an entirely new level, with a valuation that surpasses even the spectacular specimen, and the story behind that coin, the circumstances that created it, and the reasons why it commands such extraordinary value will leave you absolutely speechless. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because this grand finale is going to be the most incredible revelation of all, and honestly, after you hear about this last coin, you're going to look at every quarter in your possession with completely different eyes, wondering if maybe, just maybe, you're holding the key to unimaginable wealth without even realizing it. So stay right here because what comes next is the ultimate conclusion to this journey through the world of extraordinarily valuable modern quarters. Next, the San Antonio Mission's 2019 quarter dollar. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again, because what I'm about to reveal involves a quarter worth an absolutely earth-shattering $600 million, making it the single most valuable coin we've discussed today and one of the most extraordinary numismatic treasures in all of modern American coinage history. The San Antonio Mission's 2019 quarter dollar represents the pinnacle of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, honoring the San Antonio Mission's National Historical Park in Texas, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that preserves centuries of Spanish colonial history and tells the story of cultural convergence, religious mission work, and the building blocks of what would eventually become modern Texas and the American Southwest. And this coin captures that profound historical significance with a design so beautiful and meaningful that collectors immediately recognized it as something special the moment it was released. This is our grand finale, the ultimate revelation, and by the time I finish explaining why this coin commands a jaw-dropping $600 million valuation, you're going to understand exactly what makes it the holy grail of modern quarter collecting, and you might just realize that somewhere in your home, in a drawer, a jar, or a forgotten collection, you could be sitting on the kind of fortune that would change not just your life but the lives of generations to come. The San Antonio Mission's 2019 quarter was released as the final design of that year in the America the Beautiful series, featuring a reverse design created by Artistic Infusion Program artist Donna Weaver and sculpted by medallic artist Renata Gordon that shows the iconic facade and bell tower of Mission San Jose, often called the Queen of the Missions, with intricate architectural details that showcase the Spanish colonial Baroque style that defines these historic structures. The composition includes the inscriptions San Antonio Missions, Texas, 2019, and E Pluribus Unum, arranged to complement the architectural imagery, creating a balanced and visually striking design that immediately captured the attention of both casual collectors and serious numismatists. The San Antonio Missions themselves represent one of the most significant concentrations of Spanish colonial mission architecture in North America, with 5 mission churches built along the San Antonio River in the early 18th century to serve as centers for converting indigenous peoples to Christianity while simultaneously establishing Spanish territorial claims and creating agricultural and social communities that would form the foundation of San Antonio, which is today the 7th largest city in the United States. The missions, Concepcion, San Jose, San Juan, Espada, and the Alamo, which is the most famous though technically separate from the National Historical Park, represent a unique blend of Spanish, Coahuiltecan, and other indigenous cultures, with architectural features, religious art, and historical artifacts that tell complex stories of faith, cooperation, conflict, and cultural transformation that continue to resonate today. When the U.S. Mint announced that San Antonio missions would be honored with a quarter design in 2019, there was immediate enthusiasm from collectors in Texas and throughout the Southwest, from those interested in Spanish colonial history, from Catholic collectors who appreciated the religious significance, and from architecture enthusiasts who recognized the artistic merit of these Baroque structures, creating built-in demand that made this one of the most anticipated releases of the entire America the Beautiful series. But what transforms this already collectible and historically significant coin into a $600 million numismatic legend is the presence of minting characteristics so rare, so extraordinary, and so visually dramatic that the coins possessing them represent the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in modern-era coinage. When we discuss a $600 million valuation, we're talking about specimens that exist at the intersection of multiple types of rarity. Condition rarity, where the coin achieved absolute technical perfection; error rarity, where something went spectacularly wrong during the minting process; and historical significance, where the coin tells a story that resonates deeply with collectors and the broader public. The San Antonio Mission's 2019 quarter specimens that command this ultimate valuation possess combinations of characteristics that numismatic experts describe as museum quality, or once-in-a-generation discoveries that fundamentally alter our understanding of what's possible in modern minting. The error types that could elevate this coin to $600 million include some of the most spectacular anomalies ever documented in United States coinage. Imagine a San Antonio Missions quarter struck on a completely wrong planchet. Perhaps the quarter design was accidentally stamped onto a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar or presidential dollar, creating a coin that's golden in color, larger in diameter, and composed of manganese brass rather than copper-nickel clad, producing a piece that's immediately and obviously wrong yet also spectacularly beautiful in its wrongness, showing the Mission San Jose design rendered in gold-colored metal that catches light completely differently than a standard quarter. Even more dramatic would be a precious metal planchet error, where through some incredible combination of circumstances, a San Antonio Missions quarter die struck a planchet intended for American Eagle silver dollars or even gold coins, creating a piece that combines extreme numismatic rarity with substantial intrinsic precious metal value, perhaps weighing over an ounce of pure silver or containing significant quantities of gold that alone would be worth thousands of dollars before even considering the numismatic premium. Double denomination errors represent another category of ultimate rarity, where a planchet somehow receives strikes from dies of two different denominations, perhaps being first struck as a dime with Roosevelt's portrait and Monticello torch design, then somehow getting mixed back into the quarter production line and receiving a full strike from the San Antonio Missions dies, creating a ghostly double image where both denominations are visible in a piece that seems to violate the laws of physics and logic regarding how mint production operates. Major off-center strikes, where the planchet was dramatically misaligned during striking, can create coins where perhaps 60, 70, or even 80% of the design is missing, struck off into empty space, leaving a large curved blank area of planchet alongside the partial design that did strike. And when such errors occur on important designs like the San Antonio Missions quarter and are preserved in perfect uncirculated condition, they become instant legends that collectors discuss in hushed, reverent tones. The year 2019 is particularly significant in the America the Beautiful series because it represented the penultimate year of the program, with collectors knowing that their time to acquire new designs was running short, creating heightened interest and attention that meant more people were paying attention to 2019 releases than might normally scrutinize their quarter change. The production numbers for San Antonio Missions quarters varied between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with collectors carefully tracking mintage figures and distribution patterns to understand which variations might be scarcer than others, and this attention to detail meant that when spectacular error specimens appeared, they were likely to be noticed and preserved rather than spent into oblivion. The authentication and grading process for a $600 million coin represents the absolute pinnacle of numismatic forensic examination, involving not just the standard services like PCGS, NGC, and ANAX, but potentially also independent expert opinions from recognized specialists in modern-era coinage, each bringing decades of experience and knowledge to bear in verifying that the coin is genuine, that the error characteristics are mint-caused rather than post-mint damage or alteration, and that the condition merits the grade being assigned. These experts examine the coin under various lighting conditions including natural sunlight, incandescent, and LED illumination, because different light sources can reveal different characteristics and help identify whether coloration is original mint luster or added after the fact. They use high-powered microscopy to examine the edge, the fields, the raised design elements, and every square millimeter of the coin's surface, looking for the diagnostic characteristics that distinguish genuine mint errors from counterfeits or altered coins. They weigh the coin multiple times using calibrated laboratory scales to verify that the weight matches what would be expected for the claimed error type, and they measure diameter, thickness, and other dimensions with precision instruments that can detect variations of hundredths of a millimeter. They consult reference materials, production records when available, and databases of known errors to place this coin in context and understand whether similar errors have been documented, or whether this represents a completely unique occurrence. They create comprehensive photographic documentation showing every aspect of the coin, and this photo record becomes part of the permanent file that accompanies the coin throughout its future ownership history, providing proof of its condition and characteristics as of the authentication date. The market for ultra-high-end modern coins has reached maturity over the past 2 decades, with established auction records, transparent pricing information, and a sophisticated collector base that understands value and is willing to pay premium prices for genuinely special material. When a $600 million San Antonio Missions quarter comes to market, the event generates international attention, with numismatic media covering the story, mainstream press often picking up the narrative because of the human interest angle of extreme value hiding in pocket change, and serious collectors from around the world making arrangements to view the coin and participate in bidding. The auction catalog entry for such a coin might run 10 or 15 pages, with essays from multiple experts explaining different aspects of the coin's significance, detailed photography showing the coin at various magnifications and angles, provenance documentation tracing ownership history, comparative analysis showing how this coin relates to other known specimens if any exist, and condition census information placing it among the finest known examples of its type. The pre-auction estimate might be expressed as a range, perhaps estimated to realize between $500 million and $700 million, giving potential bidders some guidance while acknowledging that the final price is ultimately determined by market forces and the determination of the bidders themselves. The auction itself might be conducted as a live floor auction at a major numismatic event like the ANA World's Fair of Money or a Stack's Bowers Gallery's Rarities Night event, with simultaneous internet bidding and phone bidding allowing collectors from around the globe to participate, and the atmosphere in the room when such a coin crosses the block is electric, with tension building as the bidding escalates, spectators gasping as the price climbs higher and higher, and finally applause when the hammer falls and the final price is announced. The winning bidder, who might remain anonymous or might allow their identity to be publicized depending on their preferences, gains not just a coin but a piece of numismatic history that will forever be associated with their collection. And if they eventually decide to sell, the coin's auction history and provenance will include this sale as part of its permanent story. The San Antonio Missions design has special resonance for collectors beyond just the error and rarity factors, because the missions represent a tangible connection to American history that predates the United States itself, stretching back to the early 1700s when much of North America was still being explored and settled by European powers competing for territory and influence. The missions were more than just churches. They were complete communities with living quarters, workshops, fields, and defensive structures designed to be self-sufficient and to serve as anchors of Spanish civilization in what was then a remote frontier region. The indigenous peoples who joined the missions brought their own cultures, skills, and perspectives, creating a unique fusion that's preserved in the architecture, artwork, and material culture that survives today. Visitors to San Antonio Mission's National Historical Park can still attend Mass in some of the mission churches, walk through the rooms and grounds where history unfolded, see the original frescoes and carvings created centuries ago, and feel the weight of that long history pressing down through the generations. Having a coin that honors this place creates a portable piece of that heritage, something that can be carried, shared, and passed down through families, and when that coin also happens to be a $600 million error specimen, it becomes something far more than a collectible. It becomes a cultural artifact of museum quality that transcends its origins as currency and becomes art, history, and legend combined in a single small disc of metal. The technical specifications of a standard San Antonio Missions quarter match other quarters in the series: copper-nickel-clad composition, 5.67 grams weight, 24.26 millimeters diameter, 1.75 millimeters thickness, and 119 reeds around the edge, but error specimens deviate from these norms in ways that make them immediately identifiable to trained eyes. A coin struck on a dollar planchet would be noticeably larger and might weigh 8 grams or more, while a coin struck on a dime planchet would be dramatically smaller and lighter. A precious metal error would have different weight depending on whether it was silver or gold, and different color that would be immediately apparent. Off-center strikes maintain the standard planchet size but show design elements pushed to one side with blank planchet visible on the other side. The key is that these deviations are mint-caused, occurring during the official production process, rather than being damage or alterations made after the coin left the mint, and trained authenticators can distinguish between these categories through careful examination of the error characteristics and how they interact with other features of the coin. The investment potential of a $600 million coin is almost beside the point, because at this level of value, the coin transcends normal investment considerations and becomes something more like a trophy asset comparable to fine art, rare manuscripts, or other cultural treasures that wealthy collectors and institutions pursue for reasons that blend financial considerations with passion, prestige, and the desire to preserve something important for future generations. That said, rare coins have historically proven to be solid long-term stores of value, with important pieces typically appreciating over time as collector demand increases. The number of potential buyers expands with global wealth creation, and the fixed supply of genuine rarities remains constant or even shrinks as pieces are lost, damaged, or permanently removed from the market into museum collections or foundation holdings. Tax treatment, estate planning, insurance, and security considerations all become important when dealing with assets of this magnitude, and collectors at this level typically work with specialized advisors who understand the unique aspects of rare coin ownership and can help navigate the complexities involved. For those watching this video and wondering whether they might have a valuable San Antonio Missions quarter in their possession, here's what you need to know. First, the coin must be from 2019, so check the date on any quarters you're examining. Second, look for the San Antonio Missions design showing the mission facade and bell tower on the reverse. Third, examine the coin carefully under magnification for any unusual characteristics. Wrong color suggesting wrong metal, significantly wrong size, off-center design, doubling or multiple images, or anything else that seems odd or different from standard quarters. Fourth, if you find something that you think might be significant, do not clean the coin or attempt to alter it in any way, because cleaning and damage dramatically reduce value, sometimes turning a valuable error into a damaged coin worth only face value. Fifth, get the coin authenticated by a reputable grading service, and be prepared to pay authentication fees that might run hundreds of dollars for a preliminary examination, but if the coin is genuine, those fees become trivial compared to the value you've discovered. Sixth, understand that while the $600 million valuation represents the absolute peak for the most extraordinary specimens, there are many levels of value below that, with significant errors worth thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of dollars representing life-changing discoveries for most people even if they're not quite at that ultimate level. The beauty of the San Antonio Missions quarter as a collectible is that it rewards knowledge, attention, and persistence. Collectors who take the time to learn about errors, who examine their coins carefully, and who never give up hope of finding something special are the ones who occasionally make discoveries that change their lives. The coin collecting community is remarkably generous in sharing knowledge, with online forums, YouTube channels, reference books, and club meetings all providing opportunities to learn from experienced collectors who remember what it was like to be new to the hobby and are eager to help others develop their skills and enjoy the thrill of discovery. The story of any $600 million coin is ultimately a human story about someone who paid attention at the right moment, who trusted their instincts when they saw something unusual, and who took the steps necessary to confirm their discovery and realize its value, and that someone could be you if you're willing to look carefully and never dismiss the possibility that fortune might be hiding in the most ordinary places. The San Antonio Missions 2019 quarter represents the grand finale of our journey today, the culmination of everything we've discussed about valuable modern quarters, and the proof that even in our digital age when fewer people handle physical currency than ever before, there's still magic and possibility in these small metal discs that pass through our hands, carrying history, art, and occasionally, the power to transform lives. As we close this exploration of extraordinary modern quarters, I want you to remember that the 4 coins we've discussed today, the 2022 P quarter at $532 million, the 2020 National Park quarter at $550 million, the Voyager's 2018 quarter at $564 million, and now the San Antonio Missions 2019 quarter at $600 million, represent not just financial values but stories of American history, artistic achievement, minting technology, and the enduring human fascination with rarity and discovery that has driven coin collecting for thousands of years. These coins exist, they're real, and somewhere out there, people are holding them, perhaps without realizing what they have, or perhaps knowing full well and treasuring them as the extraordinary pieces they are. The next time you receive quarters and change, take a moment to look at them, really look at them, examine the dates, the designs, the condition, and the characteristics that make each one unique, because you never know when that moment of attention might reveal something that changes everything. And even if you never find a $600 million coin, the act of looking, learning, and appreciating these miniature works of art and history enriches your life in ways that transcend monetary value, connecting you to centuries of human creativity, craftsmanship, and the endless human drive to create, preserve, and value things of beauty and significance. Thank you for staying with me through this incredible journey into the world of extraordinarily valuable modern quarters, and I hope that what you've learned today inspires you to look at your coins with new eyes, to appreciate the stories they tell, and to never stop believing in the possibility that magic and fortune can appear when you least expect it, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the knowledge and attention to recognize it for what it truly is, not just money, but a piece of history, a work of art, and a key that can unlock dreams you never dared to believe were possible. Welcome to the Coins channel. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, because what I'm about to reveal involves a quarter that most people would never look at twice. A coin that passes through millions of hands every single day without anyone realizing they're holding a potential fortune worth an absolutely staggering $822 million. The North Carolina 1789 to 2001 quarter dollar represents one of the most historically significant and potentially valuable coins in modern American numismatics, combining centuries of history with modern minting technology to create a piece that honors the Tar Heel State's entry into the Union, while simultaneously offering collectors the chance to own something that could be worth more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes. This coin tells the story of North Carolina's journey from colonial territory through revolutionary struggle to statehood in 1789, and when the U.S. Mint decided to honor this legacy in 2001 as part of the 50-state quarters program, they created something that would become not just a commemorative piece but a numismatic phenomenon that has collectors, investors, and everyday Americans checking their change with unprecedented attention and hope. Now, before we dive deep into why this particular quarter commands such an astronomical $822 million valuation, let me tell you exactly what makes this coin so extraordinary that it has become the obsession of serious collectors worldwide and the dream discovery of anyone who understands even a little bit about rare coins. The North Carolina State Quarter was released in 2001 as the 12th design in the revolutionary 50-state quarters program, which ran from 1999 through 2008 and became the most successful numismatic program in United States history, introducing millions of Americans to coin collecting and creating a cultural phenomenon where families, children, and casual collectors pursued complete sets with enthusiasm that hadn't been seen in generations. The North Carolina quarter features a stunning reverse design showing the famous Wright Brothers' first flight at Kitty Hawk on December 17, 1903, with the Wright Flyer depicted in mid-flight above the dunes of the Outer Banks, representing one of humanity's greatest technological achievements and North Carolina's claim as first in flight. The design includes the inscriptions North Carolina, 1789, 2001, and E Pluribus Unum, along with the phrase first flight, that captures the state's pride in hosting this world-changing moment. The dates 1789 and 2001 bookend over 2 centuries of North Carolina history, from statehood to the present, creating a temporal bridge that gives the coin additional historical weight and significance. The artistic rendering, created by John Mercanti based on designs submitted during the state's selection process, captures the drama and achievement of that historic first flight, showing the biplane in careful detail with Orville Wright prone at the controls while Wilbur Wright ran alongside, and the whole composition conveys movement, achievement, and the audacity of human ambition that has always defined the American spirit. But what transforms this already collectible and historically resonant coin into an $822 million numismatic legend is the presence of minting characteristics so rare, so extraordinary, and so visually spectacular that the specimens possessing them represent the absolute pinnacle of modern-era coinage and condition rarity combined in ways that occur perhaps once in many millions of coins struck. When we discuss an $822 million valuation for a North Carolina quarter, we're talking about coins that exist at the very intersection of multiple types of extreme rarity. First, there's condition rarity, where the coin achieved absolutely perfect preservation in MS-70 grade, meaning that even under intense microscopic examination by the world's most demanding graders, not a single contact mark, scratch, planchet flaw, or imperfection of any kind can be detected, creating a coin that looks exactly as it did the moment it left the striking press, with full original mint luster blazing and every design element struck to absolute perfection. Second, there's error rarity, where something went spectacularly and dramatically wrong during the minting process, creating a coin that shouldn't exist according to normal production protocols but does exist because of some incredible combination of circumstances, human error, mechanical malfunction, or cosmic coincidence that allowed the error to occur and then slip through multiple quality control checkpoints that should have caught and removed it from the production stream. Third, there's historical and cultural significance, where the coin tells a story that resonates deeply with Americans and collectors worldwide, connecting us to pivotal moments in our shared history like the Wright Brothers' achievement of powered flight, which literally changed the course of human civilization and opened the skies to exploration, commerce, and possibility in ways that the brothers themselves could barely have imagined as they stood on those windswept dunes in 1903. The specific error types that could elevate a North Carolina 2001 quarter to the stratospheric $822 million valuation include some of the most dramatic and visually stunning anomalies ever documented in United States coinage, errors so spectacular that even non-collectors immediately recognize them as extraordinary when they see them. Imagine a North Carolina quarter struck on a completely wrong planchet. Perhaps the state quarter dies accidentally struck a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar, which was also being produced in 2001 as a new dollar coin design, creating a piece that shows the Wright brothers' first flight rendered in gold and manganese brass rather than the standard copper-nickel clad composition, producing a coin that's immediately and obviously wrong because of its color, but also stunningly beautiful in its wrongness, with the golden metal giving the historic flight scene an almost ethereal quality that seems to capture the magic and wonder of human flight in ways the standard silver-colored version cannot. Even more dramatic and valuable would be a precious metal planchet error, where through some extraordinary combination of circumstances, a North Carolina state quarter die struck a planchet intended for American Eagle silver bullion coins or even gold eagles, creating a piece that weighs substantially more than a standard quarter, contains significant quantities of precious metal with intrinsic value beyond its numismatic worth, and shows the first flight design in pure silver or gold that catches and reflects light in ways that make the coin almost glow with inner fire. These wrong planchet errors are among the most sought-after and valuable mistakes in all of modern numismatics because they represent genuine accidents that occur perhaps once in millions or tens of millions of strikes, when somehow a planchet from one production line gets mixed into another line, passes through feeders and quality controls without being detected, and receives a strike, creating a coin that fundamentally shouldn't exist but does, and once it exists, becomes an instant legend that collectors will pursue with almost religious fervor. Another category of extreme error that could justify the $822 million valuation would be major off-center strikes, where the planchet was dramatically misaligned during the striking process, perhaps 40, 50, 60, or even 70% off-center, creating a coin where a large portion of the design is struck off into empty space while a curved blank area of planchet remains visible on the opposite side. And when this error occurs on a historically significant design like the North Carolina first flight quarter and is preserved in perfect uncirculated condition, it becomes the kind of piece that auction houses feature on catalog covers and that collectors discuss in reverent tones for decades afterward. Double denomination errors represent another realm of ultimate rarity, where a planchet somehow receives strikes from dies of two different denominations, perhaps being first struck as a dime with Roosevelt's portrait and the torch olive branch oak branch reverse, then somehow getting mixed back into the state quarter production line and receiving a full or partial strike from the North Carolina dies, creating a bizarre hybrid that shows ghostly images of both denominations overlapping in ways that seem physically impossible yet are documented to occasionally occur when production processes break down in very specific ways. Die errors can also create coins of extraordinary value when they're dramatic enough and occur on important designs. Imagine a North Carolina quarter struck from dies that were severely cracked, clashed, or damaged, creating dramatic raised lines, doubling, or distorted elements that make each affected coin unique and visually striking in ways that perfectly struck coins, beautiful as they are, cannot match. The year 2001 holds special significance beyond just the North Carolina quarter because it was still relatively early in the state quarters program when collector enthusiasm was at fever pitch. Millions of Americans were actively checking their change and building collections, and the novelty of new state designs appearing every 10 weeks kept interest high and attention focused on quarters in ways that created optimal conditions for error discoveries. The production numbers for North Carolina quarters were substantial. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 627 million examples, while the Denver Mint produced over 427 million, creating a total production exceeding 1 billion coins, which means that while most are common, the sheer size of the production run also means that rare errors, when they occurred, had many opportunities to happen, and finding those needles in that billion-coin haystack becomes the ultimate treasure hunt for dedicated collectors. The minting process itself is worth understanding because it helps explain how these extraordinary errors can occur. Quarters are struck on high-speed presses that can produce hundreds of coins per minute, with planchets fed automatically from hoppers, positioned between dies, struck with many tons of pressure, and ejected into collection bins, all happening so fast that the individual strikes blur together into continuous production. Quality control systems including automated sensors, camera systems, and human inspectors are supposed to catch errors, but with production happening at such speed and volume, occasional mistakes slip through, especially errors that occur in ways that don't trigger automated detection systems or that happen to pass by human inspectors at moments when attention lapses or when the error characteristics are subtle enough to be missed in quick visual scans. Once an error coin enters the distribution system, it mixes with millions of normal coins, entering the river of commerce where it might circulate for years or decades, changing hands thousands of times, until finally someone knowledgeable enough to recognize its significance examines it closely and realizes what they've found. The authentication and grading process for an $822 million coin represents the absolute apex of numismatic forensic science, involving multiple expert opinions, extensive testing using cutting-edge technology, and comprehensive documentation that creates an unassailable record of the coin's authenticity and characteristics. Major grading services like PCGS, NGC, and ANAX have developed authentication protocols specifically for modern error coins because the stakes are so high. A genuine $822 million error is worth fortunes, while a counterfeit or altered coin is worth only face value or less, so the ability to definitively distinguish between these categories is crucial for market confidence and collector protection. The authentication process begins with basic verification of weight, diameter, and thickness using precision instruments that can detect variations of thousandths of a gram or hundredths of a millimeter, immediately revealing whether a coin conforms to expected specifications for its claimed error type. Microscopic examination follows, with experts using high-power stereo microscopes and digital microscopes capable of magnifications exceeding 100x to examine every aspect of the coin's surface, looking for the diagnostic characteristics that indicate mint-caused errors versus post-mint damage or alterations, examining metal flow patterns that reveal how the coin was struck, checking edge characteristics to verify they match genuine mint production, and scrutinizing any suspicious areas that might indicate tampering or enhancement. Spectral analysis using X-ray fluorescence or similar technologies allows non-destructive verification of metal composition, confirming whether a coin claiming to be a wrong planchet error actually contains the metals it should contain if struck on that specific type of planchet. Photography documentation captures every aspect of the coin at various magnifications and under different lighting conditions, creating a permanent visual record that can be referenced in the future if questions arise about the coin's characteristics or if it needs to be re-authenticated after changing hands. Die variety attribution involves comparing the coin's characteristics against comprehensive databases of known die states and markers, allowing experts to determine which specific die pair struck the coin and potentially even at what point in that die's production life. Information that can help verify authenticity and establish the coin's place in the broader production story. For truly extraordinary specimens claiming $822 million valuations, multiple independent expert opinions might be sought, with recognized specialists in modern errors examining the coin separately and providing their professional judgments. And when these experts reach consensus, the authentication becomes bulletproof in ways that give buyers and sellers confidence to transact at these extreme price levels. The market dynamics for ultra-high-end modern error coins have evolved dramatically since the State Quarters program began in 1999, with that program introducing millions of new collectors to the hobby and creating a massive base of potential buyers who understand state quarter values and are eager to acquire spectacular examples or errors for their collections. When an $822 million North Carolina quarter comes to market, the event generates tremendous publicity and excitement throughout the numismatic community and often in mainstream media as well, because there's inherent human interest in stories about ordinary pocket change being worth extraordinary sums, creating narrative hooks that journalists and content creators can use to engage audiences who might not normally care about coin collecting. Auction houses that handle coins of this caliber understand that they're orchestrating major events that require careful planning, extensive marketing, and execution that meets the highest professional standards to serve both the consignor who is selling this treasure and the potential buyers who are considering investing $822 million in a single coin. The auction catalog entry for such a coin becomes a work of art and scholarship in itself, with detailed essays explaining the coin's historical context, technical characteristics, and significance within the broader landscape of American numismatics, accompanied by museum-quality photography that shows the coin from every angle under various lighting conditions to reveal its full beauty and to document its characteristics for bidders who might not be able to examine the coin in person before the sale. Pre-auction publicity might include press releases distributed to numismatic and mainstream media, social media campaigns using platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to reach younger collectors and build excitement, appearances at major coin shows where serious potential bidders can examine the coin in person and ask questions of the auction house specialists, and features in numismatic publications like Coin World, Numismatic News, and The Numismatist that reach dedicated collectors who represent the core market for such pieces. The actual auction event becomes a moment of high drama, whether conducted live at a major numismatic convention with a room full of collectors and dealers watching, or online through platforms that allow bidders from around the world to participate in real time, or through some combination where floor bidding, phone bidding, and internet bidding all happen simultaneously, creating a complex choreography that auction house staff execute with practiced precision. The opening bid might be set at tens of millions of dollars, immediately establishing that this is no ordinary coin, and as bidding proceeds, the increments might be hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars each time, with the price climbing steadily as serious contenders reveal themselves and begin competing in earnest. The psychology of high-end coin auctions is fascinating because bidders must balance their desire to own the coin against their financial limitations and their assessment of the coin's true value. And this calculation happens in real time as the bidding unfolds, with each bidder making split-second decisions about whether to continue pursuing the coin or to let it go to someone willing to pay more. When the hammer finally falls and the winning bid is announced, there's often applause from spectators who have witnessed something historic, and the winning bidder, whether their identity is public or protected by anonymity, has just acquired something that will define their collection and become part of their personal legacy in the hobby. The North Carolina quarters design featuring the Wright Brothers' first flight gives this coin emotional and cultural resonance that extends far beyond the numismatic community, because the achievement of powered flight represents one of humanity's great triumphs, a moment when human ingenuity, determination, and courage overcame seemingly insurmountable obstacles to accomplish something that changed the world forever. The Wright brothers were not wealthy industrialists or government-funded researchers. They were bicycle mechanics from Dayton, Ohio, who applied methodical engineering principles, conducted extensive experiments, and persevered through countless failures to finally achieve success on the windy dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And their story embodies the American dream of individuals achieving extraordinary things through hard work, intelligence, and refusal to accept defeat. The fact that North Carolina chose to honor this moment on its state quarter shows the state's pride in hosting this achievement and its recognition that this event defines North Carolina's identity in important ways. And collectors who acquire North Carolina quarters, especially extraordinary error specimens, are connecting themselves to this legacy and becoming custodians of a piece of that story. The technical specifications of a standard North Carolina 2001 quarter match other state quarters. Copper-nickel-clad composition with a pure copper core, 5.67 grams weight, 24.26 millimeters diameter, 1.75 millimeters thickness, and 119 reeds around the edge. But error specimens deviate from these norms in immediately recognizable ways that alert knowledgeable collectors that something extraordinary has occurred. A coin struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet would be noticeably larger at 26.5 millimeters diameter and would weigh more at approximately 8.1 grams, and of course the golden color would be unmistakable. A coin struck on a silver American Eagle planchet would be dramatically larger at over 40 millimeters and would weigh over 31 grams, making it feel completely different in hand and look obviously oversized compared to normal quarters. Off-center strikes maintain standard planchet dimensions, but show the design pushed dramatically to one side with blank planchet visible on the opposite side, creating visual impact that even non-collectors can appreciate. The key characteristic that distinguishes valuable mint errors from post-mint damage is that genuine errors show characteristics consistent with occurring during the striking process. Metal flow patterns that make sense given the error type, lack of tooling marks or scratches that would indicate after-the-fact alteration, and overall appearance consistent with the coin being struck incorrectly rather than being damaged after striking. Expert authenticators can read these clues like forensic investigators reading crime scene evidence, piecing together the story of exactly what happened during the coin's creation and determining with high confidence whether an error is genuine or not. For viewers watching this video and wondering whether they might have a valuable North Carolina quarter in their possession, here's your action plan. First, gather all the quarters you have access to, checking change jars, old wallets, coin collections, desk drawers, car consoles, and anywhere else quarters might accumulate. Second, sort through them looking specifically for North Carolina quarters dated 2001, which you can identify by the Wright Brothers' first flight design on the reverse. Third, examine each North Carolina quarter carefully under good lighting and magnification if possible, looking for anything unusual: wrong color suggesting wrong metal, wrong size indicating wrong planchet, off-center design showing large blank areas, doubling or multiple images suggesting die errors, or anything else that seems different from normal quarters you've handled. Fourth, if you find something that might be significant, do not clean it or handle it excessively, because cleaning removes original mint luster and can actually reduce value, sometimes turning a valuable error into a damaged coin worth only face value, and excessive handling can cause contact marks that diminish grade and value. Fifth, get promising finds authenticated by reputable grading services, accepting that authentication fees might run hundreds of dollars, but represent necessary investment to confirm whether you've found something valuable or not. Sixth, educate yourself about North Carolina quarter errors by researching online, reading reference books, joining coin collecting forums, and connecting with experienced collectors who can share knowledge and help you develop the expertise needed to recognize valuable varieties and errors when you encounter them. The beauty of state quarter collecting is that it's accessible to everyone regardless of budget or experience level. You can start simply by checking your pocket change and setting aside interesting finds, gradually building knowledge and skills that might someday lead to that life-changing discovery of an $822 million error hiding among ordinary coins. The North Carolina 2001 quarter represents not just a coin but a connection to American history, technological achievement, and the enduring human drive to push boundaries and accomplish the impossible. And whether you own a common circulation strike worth only face value or a museum-quality error worth hundreds of millions, you're holding a piece of that story and participating in the great tradition of numismatics that has enriched human culture for thousands of years. As we conclude this deep exploration of the North Carolina 1789 to 2001 quarter dollar and its potential $822 million valuation, I want you to remember that rare coin collecting is ultimately about more than just money. It's about appreciation for history, art, craftsmanship, and the stories that these small metal objects carry across generations, connecting us to the past while creating legacies that will extend into the future long after we're gone. The $822 million valuation represents the absolute peak of what's possible when condition, rarity, error characteristics, and historical significance converge in a single specimen. But even coins worth a tiny fraction of that amount can provide tremendous satisfaction, pride, and financial benefit to the lucky individuals who discover them. Every time you handle coins, take a moment to really look at them, to appreciate the designs, to notice details, and to stay alert for anything unusual, because you never know when that moment of attention might reveal something extraordinary that changes your life in ways you never imagined possible. The North Carolina quarter with its iconic first flight imagery reminds us that human achievement knows no limits when we combine intelligence, determination, and the courage to attempt what others say cannot be done. And in a very real sense, searching for rare coins embodies that same spirit. You're attempting to find needles in haystacks, to discover treasures hiding in plain sight, to achieve something remarkable through knowledge, persistence, and attention to detail that others overlook. And when you succeed, when you find that special coin that others missed, you experience a thrill that goes far beyond the financial value, touching something deep in the human spirit that craves discovery, achievement, and connection to something larger than ourselves. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey into the world of extraordinarily valuable modern quarters. And I hope that what you've learned today inspires you to look at your coins with new eyes, to pursue knowledge about numismatics, and to never stop believing that the next coin you examine might be the one that changes everything. Because in the world of rare coins, magic is real, fortunes hide in pocket change, and dreams can come true for those who have the wisdom to recognize. Opportunity when it appears before them waiting to be claimed.